Wednesday at the Broadwater Lunch. It's an in-person meetup for Fringe artists. That way you can get to know each other. And our next one at Top Lunch on next Wednesday, 7 to 9, is our venue edition. So you'll be able to come and meet all of the different venues that produce that Hollywood Fringe or run venues during Hollywood Fringe. So this is our sample budget. Inside of there, there's also a budget template spreadsheet that I'd love to click into. And I want to talk about how these budgets are formatted. If you've never made a budget before, this is really, really important to talk about. You can make a copy of this and then you can just do it. I put in all of the little things so that adds up for you. You don't even have to know how to use Excel to use this, but it's really important that you start your budgeting process and that you kind of have ways of doing things. Okay, throughout it. And I'll show you how you can make your budget flexible within here. Okay. So the first thing you need to figure out is like, what money am I counting on? My ticket sales money, my crowdfunding money, grants or single donations, ad sales. Say you have a program that you're printing and you're able to talk to your community center and they're like, you know what? I'm going to give you $500. Would you give me a thank you in your program? You know, there's things that you can do. And when I'm talking $500, that's a lot, right? Somebody might say, I'll give you 150. I'll give you 50. You know, you can start to think of these ways that you're going to be able to make that money to make your show work. Your venue costs are going to be there. You can talk about your base rental. Sometimes you have to rent people out at your bar. Like sometimes when you're making your venue agreement, they're like, there's this and this added fee if you need to pay somebody. So you can put those in those two separate categories. Some people put it all in a package, but we have them all listed out here just so that you have some things that you should be thinking about. Your venue personnel, insurance, rehearsal space. What are these things that you're going to need to rent? Most people don't rent rehearsal space until they're really ready. But if you're a giant dance piece, you probably got to, you know? So it's all about what you are using your space for. So many people are doing things in their living rooms. They're saving costs by rehearsing at a park. You know, there's really a lot of options that you can do to save costs, but we need to have them in here because some people don't want to do that. Personnel. Are you paying people? You know, quite often people don't. Quite often people do. It's really important if you're not paying people to make it really nice for them. It shouldn't, if you're not paying people, they should probably have food at your rehearsals. You know, think about the ways where you can make your room feel as like community oriented as possible, because we know that you're putting up your own money to do this. They know that too. But if they feel like they're being taken care of, then they're not going to be like, wow, this was a horrible experience. Maybe you can start to think about ways to, I don't know. If you treat volunteers nicely, people who volunteer their time are important. I'm going to stop on my high horse there. Marketing and publicity. You're going to talk about social media. If you're going to get a guide ad, which is the only way that you get an image within the Fringe guide. So we sell guide ads, which are from an eighth of a page all the way to a full page. Once you register, those prices are 50% off. So don't buy an ad before you register, but they start at $125 for artists or $250 if you're not an artist, all the way up to $1,000 for that full page ad and $2,000 if you're not an artist. So that. Some people do it. Some people swear by it. Some people think that it's total bullshit. It's going to be up to you to decide what that is for you. We have online ads. Online ads are going to be, you know, when you're on our website and you see there's this like little corner, then it's like a link and there's an image. That's our website ads. Those are paid, or like those you pay for, and then you see it'll say like 4,200 impressions. Impressions are that loaded on a page that somebody was active on the Fringe site. Hopefully they saw it, you know, but it's something to use strategically. If you have it running on the ticketing, like on sale day when we have like a huge amount of tickets being sold, it's going to go faster, right? 4,200 views are going to go really fast. If you have it, you know, more strategically set, they might go a little bit slower. We're going to have a marketing workshop all about this, where you're going to be able to kind of like figure out what's to do for you. But it's really important that you kind of start to think about these things in your budget. Postcard printing, program price printing. This is not a paper, the town festival like a lot of Fringes are. So you're really not going to want to use your postcards in the way that you might in a typical festival setting. It's used more like a business card at Hollywood Fringe. I would say that people are not, you know, just handing a postcard without a conversation. It's a little bit rude and off-putting for people. It's really something that you're going to want to use strategically. But that being said, you're probably going to give out like 500 of them, you know, like you're meeting so many people, and this is a great way for you to be able to be remembered by them. You know what I mean?
I would expand your screen.
Oh,
yep.
Thank you. Yep. That's hilarious. Thank you.
Yes.
You also want to put in money here for office hours money. If you're coming to our in-person events, you're probably going to want to buy yourself a drink. You're probably going to want to buy something for your crew. You know what I mean? Start to think about the money you're going to be spending out and about, because we have our office hours meetups at different bars. You don't have to drink to be at these spaces, but often people are like, you know what? I want a soda, water, and bitters, or I want a cocktail, So make sure that you're budgeting for that if that's something that you're going to do. Then you're going to want to make sure that you get documentation of your event. Some people might have a good friend that has a decent camera that can come and take that documentation. Some people might take it on their iPhone. And some people are like, you know what? I'm using this representation and I want that like full production. I want video, photo, everything. It depends on your goals. But you want to make sure that you're budgeting for that now. You're thinking about that now. And if you go to our participant packet, hollywoodfringe.org/participants, that is plural, participants, then you can find some people who in the community who often shoot fringe shows that have some special deals. Okay. I don't know what happened. Okay, there we go. Because something happened and my second tab didn't follow over from last year's budget. So I'm going to just really quickly, prospective budget. I have to put something, I have to take last year's prospective budget. And I'm going to really quickly copy and paste something in. Just 1 second. I'm sorry. Prospective budget, HFF25, done. There's going to be a second tab now. There was supposed to be. This is from, when I made the new one for 2025, it didn't go through. Okay, go to your second tab. Now we're going to talk about sheet 2 now. Sorry about that, guys. We're going to talk about how you figure out ticket sales, how you start to figure out what that money is going to be. So when you're budgeting, you're going to want to kind of go off of multiple price points, right? So, and you're also going to want to think about 3 different scenarios. If you sell 40% of your house, if you sell 50% of your house, and if you sell 60% of your house. I really think it's important that you don't budget to sell more than that, because you're going to want to comp people. You're going to want people to come to see your show, and you're going to want to be able to be really flexible, and you're going to want to be surprised if it's higher, not shocked when it's lower. So 40% of your house, you have 3 different price points, and then you can also have price points for your discount codes. So the first 3 are going to be your general admission price, which is somebody looks in the Fringe guide or goes to the Fringe website and just finds your show. They don't know anything, right? They just are like, I want to buy this ticket. I'm going to buy it at full price. So that's your full price ticket, general admission. Your second price is going to be $1 off, because people who buy a button on the Hollywood Fringe site get $1 off all performances. And that's somebody who's seeing multiple shows within the festival. It's like a community thing that we've been doing since the beginning of Fringe, Hollywood Fringe anyway. Then you have your third price point, which is going to be your artist ticket price. So that's going to be the price that you want to show for community members. So people who are active on a project at Hollywood Fringe will automatically see this price when they come to buy tickets. Then you're going to want to have your discount code prices. You're going to give out discount codes. It's going to be common. You're going to use your discount code strategically. Maybe you're going to say, I am placing an ad here and I'm going to put a special discount code in there. And I'm going to track how many people actually saw that ad by having a discount code there. You're going to start to use these discount codes for different reasons. So if you're like curious about some ways that people have done that, go to our Hollywood Fringe show or go to the YouTube page, youtube.com/Hollywood Fringe. Go watch our past marketing workshop. We have 10 years of marketing workshops, and marketing at Fringe has not changed that much. So you can go ahead and start to get some ideas there about ways that you might use that. And you're going to expand these things as you're going through, but you're going to want to, in this budgeting process, be like, you know what? I don't want to set more than this many tickets at that price or whatever. You're going to start to make your decisions in this budgeting process, but you're going to have it be flexible because you're going to learn things and you're going to want to change things. So make sure you're generous about the amount of tickets you're putting into your comp and discount area. So if you go see there's the price, there's the number of seats, the number of shows, and that is going to equal your total revenue for that night. And then you're going to go down, and I've added them all together. That's going to be your total ticket sales for the brand. So that is how you're going to kind of start to go through and budget for things. Some people are a little bit more intense. They might have some producing experience. And so they might go through and they might be like, you know what, my preview is going to be cheaper and my later run is going to be more expensive and I'm going to have tiered ticketing. And they might have more complicated budgets than this. But if this is your first time budgeting, I think this is like a really easy way to kind of learn. Then the third tab that you've got is going to be other fundraising, which I didn't add to the spreadsheet. I'm so sorry, but I'm adding it right now. Oh my God. Ellen, who are you? I'm busy. That's right. This is where you're going to make your money. And don't worry, I'm going to rename these tabs after this to say, it's going to say other fundraising. But basically, that third tab, which is sheet 3 right now, is going to show how you make that money. How are you making this possible? Is it going to come from your savings? Is it going to come from fundraising? So you might want to put like, I have a Patreon. I'm going to put my Patreon in here. I have parents and grandparents who love me. I'm going to put that in there. I have close friends who really want to see the show work. I'm going to put that in there. These are going to be things that you're going to want to put in. You see at the top there, I put crowdfunding in income. That's really where you're going to kind of see that kind of thing. So you're going to have your social media followers that are just going to give you your $5, if you can think of that, that's what's going to go in there. Then you're going to want to make like donation income. So say you're maybe a little bit more savvy and you're ready to take real donations. You're ready to like go talk to somebody like maybe local business that you have a connection with. Maybe you're going to get donation from a consulate connection that you have here in Los Angeles. Maybe it's through that. I'm going to be quite honest and say the arts funding ain't so great. So don't count on that. You're going to have to be thoughtful about who these people are. And then you're going to talk about like, if you're going to sell ads in your program, there's going to be like something there. If you're going to do grants, which is pretty rare, I'm going to be honest, getting a grant at this point for a show going up in June is kind of too late. But what you might be able to do is get, money from an organization that is like-minded to you. You might be able to get into their like oeuvre for next application cycle. You might be able to use this to get the documentation necessary to apply for that grant to take your show on the road, So this, I love that. So fun. So the next thing I'm going to have you do, we're going to go to Hollywood Fringe and then we're going to bring up our amazing panelists. We're going to go to hollywoodfringe.org/funding. Funding. How do I pay for it? How do I pay for my Fringe show? You will get your ticket sales after the festival. A day after the festival, we email you and we tell you how to request it. I guarantee you won't request it on that day. You're too tired. You will get that email and you will request it a week later. I know these artists. There are artists that have not requested from last year's festival. And guess what? We're holding that money for you, babies. Remember that you have to request your ticket sales. You have to fill out some information and then you get your ticket sales. So that will come as that kind of back end. So what are you doing for that front end? You can talk about individual artist grants. Probably late for that, but again, you might be planning for another year. So this is some ways to kind of look for grants. There's some great lists in here of some like starting points for writing grants. Grant writing tips, some like information if you are writing grants about what that language looks like. What is a narrative? What is a statement of need? What are these definitions that you're often asked for? Some tips and tricks for grant writing. Do your research. You don't want to spend your time applying for things you're not qualified for. You want to know everything about the grant before you apply for a grant. You want to make sure that that is clear in your application or else you will be tossed out the window. You know what I mean? Like if you are not following what is in that grant application, the people who are reviewing that grant, the only information they have is that review application and the rubric and the things that they have in front of them. So it's so important for you to do that research. Know your project in and out before applying for funding. If this is your first time doing a show, you're probably not going to get a grant. Sometimes people who have done their shows 10, 15 times are struggling to get grants, So it's really something that you're going to really want to have a solid application together if you are applying for that type of funding. Start writing in a document. Don't do it in the grant portal. That's not smart. You want to spend like hours and hours and have friends and family and friends of friends reading your application before you submit it. And make sure that you're getting that feedback. There's some grant writing resources in there. Crowdfunding. This is going to be your bread and butter for Fringe. Most people are crowdfunding their shows. There's some information here about what kind of platforms to use. After you pick a platform, you want to refine your pitch. You want to set a budget and fundraising goal. There's a sample here of how you can reach a $500 goal. So for instance, if you get 10 people at $10 each, that's $100. If you get 3 people at $50 each, that's $150. 10 people at 25, that's 250. All of those people together is $500. But that's 23 people. You have to give you money. That's a lot. So you want to set your sights, maybe in some of those higher numbers. Getting those numbers is important, right? You're going to want like that spectrum of donations, but it's a lot of work. So keep your ideas, don't say that you're going to bake a cookie for everybody who gives you $10. Like that's probably not a good idea. But somebody who gives you 150, maybe it is. Maybe that works for you. You're going to want to create a marketing plan. You're going to want to create your crowdfunding webpage. Just like a bunch of check marks on here. in this list about how you're going to do things. There's also 2 other resources that I really want to point people to, which is Volunteer Lawyers for the Arts. If you're like, what is my liability in raising this money? What do I need to do tax-wise? Look at that. Read into it. And then there's also Fractured Atlas, which is a great nonprofit. They provide tax benefits. So there's this thing, if you want to apply for grants in the future that are only for artists who have a nonprofit, you can get a nonprofit status through things like Fractured Atlas, through this special, amazing program that they run. And so that's a great thing for you to look into if you are interested in doing grants. Okay. To reiterate, I'm going to close this and unplug it. And now, very hard to get people to give you money. But if you have this great idea and you're passionate about it and you have a community, whether that's online, in person, you have that, you can do this. You can do this. And it's going to be a lot of work and it's going to be really embarrassing. Don't feel scared to ask people for money. They actually do want to help you if they know you. And if they don't know you, they probably want to help you too. And if they ignore you, it's not because they hate you or because your show is a bad idea. It might be because they're overwhelmed by the state of shit. So just keep positive in this and know that it is possible. It happens every year. It is very scary out there right now for a lot of people. It is a hard time for people to want to give money to things. But people are nicer than you think they are. And they care about you. You know what I mean? And if you are passionate about your show and that comes through, people are just going to be excited to be a part of it. Angelique and John, can you come over?
Fun, thank you.
Hi, friends. Hello.
Hello.
Is the mic levels, do we want to...
Are we good? Testing.
Apologies about earlier. A lot of the team was running around. The live stream went down for a minute. So all of the chaos was that.
We've had problems. Which is something you want to think about and budget for. But kind of. Okay. So first, hi. I love you guys. It's really great because I know you guys both pretty well, and I've seen both of your work, which is exciting. Actually, I've only seen a cabaret of your show, but I never saw it in person. But I saw the cabaret. But I've seen your show, one of your shows in 2019, which is too long. Now I need to go see another one. I know. I'm the worst. But I love you guys. And I really want you to tell everybody about you. So if you can start with your name, your pronouns, a visual description, which is just like what you look like so that the people who are on live stream who might not be able to see us have an understanding of what you look like. And also the shows that you've done for Fringe and like anything you want to kind of mention about those shows and like their lives.
Cool.
Yeah. It's a lot, but that's the intro.
See if I can remember it.
Yeah.
Well, my name's Angelique Fustukjian, she, her. I have brown curly hair. I'm wearing white boots, black pants, patterned t-shirt from my grandma. And yeah, I think that's it. And I am with my co-founder, Matthew Namick. We have a little company called Sunny Gingham. That's a fancy way of saying we just do a lot of work together and put a name on it. So we've been doing Fringe since 2023. In 23, we brought a show called The King and I Am Paul, which is a comedy that we're actually running right now at a different festival. So it's had a life beyond Fringe, which is exciting. And then last year, we brought a show with a 7-person cast called Our American Tragedy. And that show is actually being extended into a full 2-hour piece, and it's going to Arizona next year for a run. So very excited for that. So Fringe has been our launching pad for every project we've done as far as the theater space. So it's really exciting.
I'm John Wookty, he, him. I'm a man of a certain age, gray hair, and wearing a flannel shirt. I've been part of Fringe for about a decade now. In 2019, I produced my first show. I do physical musicals. I create musicals that involve gesture work, physicality, dance, all with live percussion. So I'm a musician during the piece. I did a show about the search for Scarlett O'Hara, casting Gone with the Wind. Then I did Housewife 52 about 1950s housewives. Then I did last year Vivian Vance Alive and Well running a Chinese takeout. And then also I did 2 shows last year. Another one was at the Henry Murray. Are they using Henry Murray again, the upstairs?
Not this year.
Okay. It was a small, very immersive physical theater piece. So I do very large shows at Fringe. For me, I think that I'm just going in, I'm producing a show. It happens to be at Fringe. That's sort of my mindset, how I go in. But I wanted to say, because so many people are brand new, and if you're all alone or it's just two of you, I am a one-man band. I do everything.
Wow.
And it's possible.
Yeah.
So if you are alone, I know it can be very scary, but it is possible to do it. Because once you got your venue, once you got that, and you get into your rehearsal, there's not a lot of other big components to think about, okay? And afterwards, I have my business card. I am more than happy to have a coffee with anybody, talk, assuage your fears. I love talking about producing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's funny you say that because I feel like I have the same mindset going into Fringe. We're producing a show and this happens to be the space. And I don't know if that mentality alone changes things. For me, it does, because it's like, okay, you're going to tackle this even if I were to book the Amazon, which I'm not, but like something that big, it's just the space you're in. But
yeah. And I think that is really how a lot of people go into it,
Mm-hmm.
And then you obviously are going to have the people that break the rules. And they're just like, no, I'm just here because it's like, I want to do this fun thing. And it's just a part of my oeuvre, rather than something that you're like doing for your company that is kind of like your company, your theater company, your baby. Okay. How do you budget for the festival? And especially like, how do you go about fundraising? Do you do pre-fundraisers? Do you kind of do things out of pocket and then like kind of reimburse yourself through ticket sales? What are some of those like budgeting and fundraising, and specifically in the fundraising category of budgeting?
I have personally never done outside fundraising.
Yeah.
Because I sort of am a solo person, and my works take a long time to produce during the year leading up to it. It's just too much for me to deal with. And I think it's also, an age thing.
Yeah.
I see younger people don't have as much problem seeming to ask for money.
Yeah.
I just know that I need my 10, 12 to 15,000, whatever I need for my show. It's my money.
Yeah.
That's how I do it. So God love people who can go out and fundraise, and that's fantastic. Me, it's just my personal money.
Yeah.
How I use.
For us, we have fundraised both years, but the way we did it, because you were saying, do we front it or not? Correct?
Yeah.
So in my experience, in 23, we did Kickstarter, and in 24, we did Seed and Spark, which is my favorite between that, Indiegogo, everything, which I can talk on later, why I like that one the most. But what we did was, for year one, we fronted everything. So registration costs, venue fees, all of that. But when we set up our fundraiser, we factored in everything that we were putting in ourselves, so that in theory, if we hit our goal, all tickets would be profits. So we weren't hoping for just tickets to pay us back. We were hoping that would create a nest egg, which ended up being what happened. So 23, it was just Kickstarter. 24, it was Seed and Spark with an in-person fundraiser as well, which I think we can touch on later. And then what was nice about that is that we used the profits from 23 to upfront pay for registration and everything. And then the out-of-pocket was, the Amazon purchases, the props, the costumes, the this, and then we paid ourselves back later.
Yeah.
So then our little run that we just did in January was the first time we didn't have to fundraise because we had enough of a nest egg. So yeah, I guess the answer is yes.
Yeah. And I think that it's like, somebody might be like, wow, $12,000. These are huge shows.
Yeah, mine was a little smaller for sure.
Yeah, John does huge, amazing work. And I think that's what's so exciting, is that it's kind of, the world is your oyster. And people will really say that. I mean, we've gotten some budgets back that are not that, I would say that the average that we were seeing, because we do a survey every year from our artists, what people were doing, between $2,500 and $5,000 was very, very typical.
May I add in that regardless if it's your savings, if you're going to fundraise, I think something important going into these next 3 months, I feel, know where your money is coming from.
100%.
Let's just say it's $3,000.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I got $1,500. I'll make the rest of it up.
Yeah.
You are gonna get so stressed.
It's not worth
when that comes to them. So I feel that regardless of where your money is coming from, know where the base amount of money is. Know you have that money.
Yeah. Going into it. Don't think, oh, I'll make it. I'll get back ticket sales. Because then when that doesn't happen, then you're in a really bad place. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to, the venues are fantastic. One thing I would like to say, when you get the notification from your venue, pay them right away. Don't ever have a venue
come knocking saying, you owed us money 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So that's really important because the venue money, no one can get around that. Everyone needs that money. That's part of your budget. Make sure you have it where it's coming from and, pay your venue on time is really important.
Remember that these are community spaces too. We don't have these like large Nederlander run venues. These are not being run by large corporations that, God bless what happens there. But this is really people who need to make their money for rent to make these spaces stay. We have been bleeding creative space in Hollywood. We have had so many theaters close down because of the costs are rising to produce them. And we don't get great funding to run venues. Like that's not like a thing that happens in the United States. These venues are just businesses. And it is an essential part of their business to rent it out to creatives at the most affordable price that they can. That being said, we have a range of venues. We have venues that have every kind of price point that you're thinking about. And so it is important to shop around and kind of have that idea. The second thing I want to say is do not break your back over Fringe. Fringe will exist, so we're not going away. If this is something that financially you cannot take on at this point, that's okay. And it's okay to take a year and kind of be able to dive back in. And we want to be really honest about things because the last thing that you want to do is have a bad Fringe experience by not having enough money and not being able to immerse yourself in the magic.
And another important mindset I feel is know that you can lose.
Yeah.
You'll be honest with yourself and say, okay, am I okay if I am out of pocket $2,000? You have to be honest with that because if you think you might make up your money and take yourself, no one knows how their show is going to do and how that money is going to come in. So I think also another mindset is just let yourself know, I'm comfortable losing $1,500 this year.
Yeah.
Because, if you end up losing more and your mind isn't ready for that, then, and it's another stress. So just kind of be honest with yourself.
You're running a business.
Yeah.
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 I think going off of that too, my first show, I don't think we hit more than $2,000 or $2,500 in our cost needs. Last year, our goal was to not go over $5,000 because it was a bigger piece and it was a period piece that took place in the 1800s. So we had the big dresses and a lot more layers that we were paying for. Yeah. But something that we did, and I do this with every project that I go into, it's like, how do I start creating a budget? What do I actually need? Especially with the first one, it was a modern piece. You can wear everyday clothes. It wasn't a big deal in that sense. But I always sit down and I look at what are the non-negotiable costs. So the non-negotiable is the registration, is the venue fee, is the tech person, the $30 an hour or whatever they're charging this year. And I put that out and put that down in a spreadsheet. And once I see like, oh, that's a $900 expense to just get to Fringe, you can then decide for yourself, truly, what does your show need? Can you scrape by with another $500 or do you need to add $3,000? And I think if you're deciding whether or not to do Fringe, start there with what can you not get around paying? Like and then see what you can avoid based on that.
May I go off of that? Yeah. Talking about places to save money, I noted a couple things. Don't waste your money on going and getting a glossy, big 8x14 color print program. People are going to toss those programs, go to Kinko's, get one sheet of paper. Okay. I just see too many people who, that to me is a very big waste of money. Fringe is about being creative. I have seen, and this goes to your design of your show. Sometimes there are certain things you really feel you need, but I have seen people lug around a couch, a door, a table, these pieces. I mean, venues will come with essentials. We are forgiving as audience that if you have 3 chairs lined up, we understand that's a couch. Don't go out and buy a couch, Think about the design of your show. This is Fringe, number one, and you move in and move out. You're not going to be able to keep these pieces there. Yeah. Be creative. Last year, the show I did, it was a diner, and a door was very integral to the plot of the show. And I said, I can't have a door on stage. So my prop person, I realized I made a 2-foot-high door on wheels with a little mini door to paint this whole set piece of the show. So think to yourself, how can I be creative, especially with my scenic design? And I think that's a way to save money. I see people waste money on just putting too much into something that's not necessary. for our mind, for the audience.
Yeah, 100%. I think scrappy is the term that is often used with fringe shows. And I think that being innovative and your scrappiness is what people are going to be really excited by. Because we understand, like, nobody is going to a $15 ticket at the show and being like, oh, wow, inaccurate.
I bet your slide's 5 years off. No, how far is that just? Yeah,
they're just excited to see your work. And if you are smart about things, they'll be really they'll think about the ingenuity of the things that you're doing. It can be really smart. I love this idea of a little tiny tour. It sounds amazing.
Granted, though, and I know probably have to move on, but with King and I and Paul, which I think you saw.
Yeah.
So the 2023 show, it's about a couple moving into an apartment. So we made our entire set cardboard boxes, which when people watch it, they're always like, Jesus, how'd you fill up the space so much? And it's because we had packing peanuts, bubble paper. What's it called? Bubble wrap. Thank you. But bubble wrap, cardboard box that we could just keep in our trunk when we weren't, running. And so also I think I agree fully with you don't need to have so much fluff, but sometimes we always joke that show is fluff. So it doesn't hurt to also push yourself. If you want a full set, how do you make it work for you? Because our backstage is our cars. Yeah. So being realistic with that. And if scenic design is so important to you, then where are you going to pull back to make the show doable? Because if you're going to go at 100 everywhere, it gets to be a challenge. But if that's so important, cool. It was important to us. But how did we then save costs elsewhere and save stress elsewhere? Because you're right. It can't be lugging a couch up and down Melrose. It's exhausting.
And some people are aesthetically driven, right? So some people in their creative process, that's really essential to them. But then maybe don't have 3,000 cues and also a huge set and also have this. You have to decide what is your shtick. Are you going to be having yours in that and you're more of your technical elements? Then you're going to probably want to book extra tech time.
But that's going to cost money.
Yeah. Are you going to have it in your set design? So where do you guys kind of tend to save and spend in your budgeting process? And it can be personal, or what would you like to see too?
I don't know. That's a tough for me because I know how much I need. I know I need rehearsal venues.
Yeah.
And people, if you're brand new and don't know LA or this, it's 25 minimum to 50 an hour. I mean, I don't know. Maybe last year I spent probably $2,500 to $3,000 on rehearsal space.
Yeah.
That can come at you really quickly. And when I say book it now, I mean it, because if you wait till May, you're not going to find a place to rehearse. So, of course, saving money if you don't need a rehearsal venue and you find someone's place that is amenable to being able to rehearse in. Again, it really comes down to creativity. And I know, like your show last year, you had these period costumes. It's hard to move around that. But if you get to
minimize the set by some,
or if you have a creative costume, or maybe they have a way that it's one piece, one item that says what you need. So it's the design where you can get creative, saving money. I don't know, that's a hard one.
Do you hire graphic designers, marketing? Do you spend money in marketing on that side?
I do my own design. Yeah. I did hire a publicist from, I think, my first two shows. I didn't do it last year, but people knew me.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't know. We can talk more about that. That's a debate. If you're brand new, I think that may behoove you, if I can use that word, to maybe have a marketing person sort of get the word out for you. But so much Fringe, as veterans here can tell you, it's word of mouth.
Yeah.
And it's after your first show. And that's what propels you through. So I do my own marketing. And
sometimes having a damn good show is the best marketing you can do. And then sometimes I've seen a damn good show that had zero other things. Like they didn't fill the house, they didn't get the word of mouth going, or just something was off and they failed. So some of it is a little bit knowing what your kind of selling point is. Is it that you have this unique work? Is it that you have like such an engaging, fun to be around cast that really can come with you out to events, meet people, and really engage with people? It's hard to know.
Well, going off of so the two-part question. So the first one was, where do you trim the fat?
Yeah.
So we, in my experience, especially with like props, costume pieces, set design, if you are on Facebook and you're not in your local Buy Nothing group, get in there and find out where all your friends live and make them join their Buy Nothing groups. Because then I just start sending lists. I'm like, you're looking for a table, you're posting a beanbag, and then you're infiltrating all the Buy Nothing groups in LA and you're getting everything for free. So if you don't know what a Buy Nothing group is, it's literally BUY nothing. So you can ask for whatever you need and your neighbors will give them to you if they have it to borrow or to have. And
I'm in Hollywood, and so my Buy Nothing goes a little nuts in May.
yeah, I'm
sorting that now.
My neighbors all know when I'm in a show because I'm asking for the weirdest shit. And it's like, and I'm always like, yeah, it's that time again. So they know. But we've saved truly hundreds of dollars, over maybe even 1,000 in the 2 years that we've done it, because you kind of just have to be a little annoying and a little audacious. Like I ask for everything down to like, who has tape they don't need? If that helps me put up my posters for free, that's fine. Like anywhere you can trim, I've definitely been able to save a lot of money that way. I think too with, again, ask your community, see who's in your circle and just be willing to ask. Like if you're a theater person and you've performed, at a theater that has costume stock, see if you're buddy-buddy with the person there and have borrows. It's very surprising the amount of help people want to give, especially in our community. And some people don't, and that's fine. But I would rather ask than not and then find out later that, I just spent $200 on a dress that I did not like that much. So you can find ways to maximize and just just ask for your favors. And then as far as marketing and graphic design, Matt and I are very lucky that he's a fantastic drawer and I'm really good with my iPad. So between the two of us, we've been able to handle our graphic design on our own. But something that's really helped us on top of that is just leaning into social media, particularly Instagram, and then any Facebook group revolving theater or fringe. If you want to chat with me after, I can give you a list of 7 groups where when I'm in a show, I just select, I make a post, I select every single group and I just start pushing. And there's different Instagram chats that you can join. So I haven't gone the publicist route yet because right now it was just something that we couldn't swing, but we just started joining every single group we could. And I'm happy to say both shows did well at Fringe, but I had to get annoying. And if anyone in here knows me, you've probably gotten a lot of annoying messages last few weeks being like, hey, I have a show on the 22nd. So here you go, here's the info. And if you can get 10 people to commit just from that alone, great. And to me, it's respect the hustle. So if they think I'm annoying, it's fine.
I get hundreds of these and I don't get annoyed by them. So remember that also people don't get annoyed by them because I just
see what you're doing.
I get really excited actually when an artist reaches out and I haven't been able to see their work at Fringe. I'm like, well, hell yeah, I'm going to go. I've been wanting to see this work forever. I've known about it for 2 years.
I have a list of shows I missed last year when they say I'm bringing it back. I'm like, okay, great.
Exactly. The Fringe community doesn't go away if you really dive in,
Totally.
I had another thought about marketing. Something I have found and had other discussions with people, let's say you think to yourself, oh my gosh, I have this show. I'm going to have a cast of 10. That's going to be great because I'm going to have all these 10 people promoting my show.
Not necessarily, right?
And the show is only important completely to that creator, to you. Yeah. You're the one. And you're going to get, when I was younger, I said, why isn't my cast bringing people? Why isn't my cast promoting the show?
Yeah.
Because it's my show.
Yeah.
They're my actors in it. And you're going to find some people are good about it. Okay. But don't necessarily think, oh my God, they're going to be as completely invested as me in this marketing of my show. They're my actor. They're going to rehearse. They're going to come in. They're going to do their job. But beyond that,
they're already giving you a lot of gifts, by sharing this piece with you too. And don't get me wrong, some people get really lucky and you get that magical cast that somehow just is able to do it. Or maybe you're running a theater company with your cast and it's more of a device work, and that is a different story. But I completely agree. It's not a marketing plan to have a cast.
Oh, yeah. And I think as you start to tour venues and make decisions, if you haven't booked one yet, this space, 75 seats in here, right? Give or take.
Yeah.
So, or for example, the Steph Feury is 36 fixed, 42 when you add benches. I know a show that just ran there for a festival and she had a cast of 12. Wow. So if each person brings 1 to 2, you're going to sell out. Yeah. And I think if you're doing the math that way, I agree, because sometimes cast doesn't come through because they don't need to. It's not their name on the line so much as it is yours. But you can start to play around and decide. Like last year, I had a cast of 7 in a space that I think was around 65 seats.
Mm-hmm.
So me and Matt had to determine, okay, if we depend on them a little, truly, what can we expect? Can we expect over a 5-show run, they bring 5 people, so like 1 person a pop? Sure. And you're guesstimating for sure, but you can do it that way. But if I'm booking Eastwood at 99 seats, which we got extended at Eastwood, it was a very hard sell for the extension because we maximized all our favors in June. And now I have 3 more shows in late July. So, and obviously that's just how the cookie crumbled. That it is what it is. But you can, when you're looking at venues, be mindful of how big your community is. How many, like, do you like the person at the coffee shop? Do they like you? Like, how many people are you truly going to reach out to? And how many people are realistically your cast going to reach out to and determine? And
don't think, okay, it's between these 2 spaces. This one has 50, this one has 99. Let's go with the 99 because we get more audience. 100%. It ain't going to work that way. Okay, so
Opposite.
The space is what is going to, dictate what you want to do. That audience, I mean, I don't know. Did you get back from feedback what an average Fringe audience
So
is?
last year, the average was 30 seats were sold per house, which was
despite the numbers of seats, right?
Yeah, so despite. So that's average among 380 shows. And so you're going to see, but that means that we have some 99-seaters that were selling out consistently. So you know what? That's like your real average. I went to a show that had 4 people in it, you know, like, so you have to really understand that there is that you are producing your work. You are responsible to get those, to kind of tap in and make sure that you're getting those seats filled. And if you're diving into the process, you'll be able to do that. But if you don't really dive in, it will be an empty house.
This is also, I know most venues have packages, 3, 5, 7 shows. I know some first timers maybe go, oh, I'm going to do 9 shows because I can maximize my audience. Again, you need to think about that. Okay, you need to really think. I mean, there's some people who the first year I did 5 shows. Then I've gone up to 7 each year.
Yeah.
That's a difficult one of how many shows. But again, don't feel the more shows I do, the more money I'm going to make, the more audience I'm going to get. And on that thing also, continue because I just lost my thought.
Oh, that being said, if you have a tiny house of 22 seats, you also might want to up your number of shows because you're going to want to kind of be cognizant too. And remember, you're always going to want to save some seats. You never want to sell out to the point where if a awards judge reaches out to you and they need us 1 seat to sit there and be able to, that could make or break this idea of a reviewer or an awards judge coming to your show. You need to save a seat for them, even if that means that you're filling it in with your box office manager or something at the end of it.
Also, talk to your venue head, and as long as it's not an issue with like fire codes and things, some venues allow some standing room in the back just by coincidence. So that's a case-by-case basis, but I've seen shows that are sold out that they've had people like out the door not wanting to miss out, and it might be their last run. Sometimes your tech person, who's likely one of the people also running the venue, whatever, they might allow it as long as it's safe. So it never hurts to ask.
Know what your overflow is going in
100%.
So that you can plan around that now. And that's also a part of your marketing plan, right? It's great to sell out. Selling out gets your name out there. It is 100%. Such a great thing to be able to say, I've sold out 2 shows, and it helps you sell out those other ones, you know, where it's really hard to say
out if they haven't seen it.
Whereas so if you say, I haven't gotten any audiences, guys, I'm really struggling, it really doesn't totally show up. So I would even say, if you are going through that, please feel free, like, you can talk to your friends about it. But I've seen people go around and make that their narrative. And I'm like, this is not helping you right now because you're going around so negatively that I'm like confused that your show not that good. And then I go see the show and it's fabulous. Then I'm like, wait, if you had said, oh man, you know what? I did a little bit of mess up on those first 2 runs. Let me make sure I'm still just diving into that marketing plan. Don't give up, you know?
Ticket prices, what my mind was going.
Yeah.
Again, first timers, for me, if a show is over $15, I won't even consider going to it. I just won't.
Same.
Because I'm going to see 20 or 30 shows during the run of it. Don't think that the higher ticket price, I'm going to make money back. And that's another, you don't go into Fringe to make money. Not potentially even break even. Now, there are shows I'm sure that do. If it's a solo show, 2-person show, it's very minimal, you do really well, you'll probably break even. But you can't go into Fringe thinking, oh, we're going to go make some money. Or, you know, and so don't.
I don't think you can go into theater. No, I was saying
be very careful with your ticket pricing.
Yes.
Because know that people are seeing multiple shows.
Mhm.
Okay. Like we talked, I do a tiered.
Yeah.
My first show is always completely pay what you can. Then I think I do 10 or 12 for the next 2 shows. Then I move up to 15. Closing night is 20. So I do a sort of a tier.
And I think that's super smart, right?
And I'm not stingy with comps. I know I knew some people last year who I felt were really stingy, who were charging $25, who felt a discount was $23.
Yeah.
That's tough. Okay. So
Who?
I don't know. So think about I'm joking. So it's, it's about, I mean, for me, and I think a lot of us, Fringe is about getting your art seen.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want an empty seat. I want people to see my art. I mean, of course, we want to make a few $1,000s on ticket sales to offset things, but, be open with that about, when you're going to do a lot of comp swapping with people. Okay. You're like, can you come see my show? I'll come see your show. Make sure you honor that.
Yeah.
I know it can be hard when you keep giving out your card, but make sure if you've honored someone to come see, because
they need that review.
And then you get to also go see that show. I mean, like a big part of what you're doing is like being in a summer camp for artists. You're going and seeing as much work as you can, because you're really learning about what is this year of theater looking like in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
What are people talking about? What concepts are being got out there? What is my inspiration for my next piece? Who do I want to collaborate with in the future? And as an artist, you learn very quickly. You get inspired.
Yeah.
You learn how not to do a scene change. You learn what a good scene change looks like. You learn about dialogue. You learn about direction. You learn so much from seeing the good and the bad of other people's work.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Add on to both of you really quick. The great thing too is that if you can get as many butts and seats as possible, you really don't know who's in the space. The person that's producing our piece to go to Arizona next year saw Our American Tragedy, and even though maybe our ticket prices, weren't high, or I think we comped that person, so we comped her $15 worth. And now you're bringing my show for a lot more than $15 to Arizona and helping me fund it. And so that's really paying it back in a way that I find more valuable than I made $15 more in 24. So that to me was worthwhile because it got our show's name out there. And then going off regarding ticket pricing, if you are coming into Fringe a little bit with the business mindset of I will not make my money back, or I will definitely profit, I've also been that person, and it is important to me on the financial side of it to at least break even and profit a little bit for next year, whatever. That's just how our business works. So with that said, be mindful of your ticket price, because it always looks really nice when you can offer a good discount. So first year we did $12 a ticket, and, being naive, we're like, if we can make $12 a ticket, this will be great. Plus we lose some money to comps, to this, to that. It's fine. Later realizing, discount codes are a thing. Like I should be able to drop a 50% off code here and there, or a 20% off, or a $2 off, what have you. And now that number's not close to 12 anymore. So my instinct now is to go 15 and know for a fact that the world knows it's 15, but I only want 12, or I only want 10 or 8. And so you look really cool online when you can drop a massive sale because you're hooking up your friends, but you're also taking care of yourself on the back end. So don't be afraid to be savvy on that side of it. I'm very lucky. My birthday is during Fringe every year, or it's like it lines up with previews. We always drop a code. Like I turned 30 last year, so it was like 30% off tickets, or the first year was $5 for 24 hours. So find ways to also like make your show cute and then you can find a way to profit that way, but also find that community.
I love that you're answering the question that I was going to ask, but I want to ask a little bit more specifically, what kind of groups are you offering discounts out to? Like, what should we kind of be thinking about? Is it just artists? Is there any other groups that you offer discounts to?
I've offered codes before to theater companies that I've worked with in the past as an actor. So, for example, I think maybe we offered Conundrum Theater Company, a code last year. And whether or not you promote that is up to you, but you can also keep it on the back end being like, you email whoever saying, hey, for anybody that works with you, please use this. The YMCA is where we did all our rehearsals last year with Burbank. So we offered the YMCA, like anyone that's a patron there, if you want to come to our show, here's really affordable tickets. So finding ways to partner with brands and people in your community, it doesn't need to, for me, it doesn't need to be artist specific necessarily.
Yeah,
But-
I did. Oh gosh, I would send AMDA a message because I've used actors from there, and I'd tell the guy, and you can have multiple codes, so then you can track.
100%.
Now, this is something I also do,
I like that.
and everyone who auditions for my show, if ultimately they don't get cast, I comp them to come see the show. The actors who it's been few and far between. I know we're all very sensitive if we don't get cast in the show sometimes. But I reach out to all of my actors who I've ever worked with and who I haven't come to audition or call back. They are going to know when I'm going to do a show that there is a comp waiting for them, because I think that's important for actors.
Yeah.
Yes, theater companies around town,
Communities, whether it's comps or otherwise. Yeah.
and if you have a show that has, a friend did, Gail, she did a show that regarding cancer.
Mission 13?
Yes.
Yeah, Mission 13. 23.
With mushroom therapy. So she kind of got hooked in and got into a newsletter with there. So if your show does have a niche,
Yes.
okay, you're going to want to maybe try those organizations, maybe get part of in their newsletter on their website, something like that.
Yeah. And then also, what businesses do you connect with? Where do you go often? What are the places that you're regularly going to? Is there a coffee shop that you frequent or a restaurant or something that you know the people?
I had a group from Starbucks come.
Yeah.
The men were always sitting out front all the time. They saw my T-shirt, and I gave them the thing to the show. A big group of strangers from Starbucks came to the show.
Nice. That's really cool.
I think that's what it is connecting with your community. You're going to start to learn through Fringe who is your audience, who is interested in your work.
Yeah.
And you do get that patron list at the end, so you should utilize it. This is you starting your theater company or bringing your theater company to a new level. Let's talk about marketing a little bit more. That's what we're kind of on the budget, on marketing budgeting. Is this a large part of your budget, a small part of your budget? Do you buy ads? Do you not buy ads? And I'm talking about social media ads in different programs, the Fringe Guide, any of these types of things.
Even when I looked today, I spent $875 last year on marketing. That was some postcards. That was David filming my show. That was someone you shot my show. So that's money for photos and video of the show.
Sure, yeah.
I didn't wear it today, but I am big. I've always had a T-shirt for my show. Slowly, it is the easiest form of advertising. You're literally a walking billboard. More and more, I keep seeing people do it, but I don't understand why everyone doesn't have a T-shirt for their show. You walk into office hours, you don't need to say a word. Your show is on your shirt.
Just for you or merch as well? Or just as a promotion tool?
And people really liked the show, and I didn't think they would. So it became a bit of merch because it was a very unique shirt.
Cool.
What else for marketing? I did not.
Do you do impressions on the website?
I did impressions. I did the physical. It's hard to say the return of you're going to get, but I think, it feels like you're doing something. And if you are on the website and something clicks up today, I clicked on Mona Lisa.
Yeah.
Just because it happened to pop up, and I clicked on it, and I knew him.
And remember,
not expensive, the impressions.
No,
and you have to have somebody see your image, or the marketing 7 to 8 times in order to actually click into the link. So sometimes it is helpful if that's a part of your 7 to 8 times that you're thinking of, but it can't be the only. And some people it works and some people it doesn't.
Yeah.
For me, marketing costs, I would put at leaning towards medium as far as like the importance. I think marketing is 100% needed. I don't think you should skimp on it at all. But when I use the word skimp, it's how much am I going to create so that I can keep my overhead very low versus outsourcing. So with postcards, I learned through office hours, I think we panicked. The very first one we went to in 2023, we didn't have any. And so we made something on Adobe because we were like, everyone has postcards. No one's going to come to our show. This is the end. And this was like March. And So we banged out a really quick postcard and it was fine. It was great because we did it through Got Print, which by the way,
Yes.
use Got Print for everything. It's in Burbank. Write that down. I'll wait. It's in Burbank. It's amazing. When you go on the website, it's going to look like they have to ship it to you, but you can do local pickup and save a ton on shipping.
San Fernando.
Exactly. Yeah. It's the dream. It's amazing. But they sell in bulk. So you're likely getting 100 postcards per order. I actually wrote down what I spent on them so you guys could see. So just as an example, like
it's very cheap.
Literally for 100 4x6s, both sides, one side was matte, the other side was full like gloss. So one side was the poster, the other side was our QR code for tickets. I spent $22.26 and I'd gotten $6 off with the code. They're usually running a code. If you're going to go to Kinko's, FedEx, anywhere else, I knew a girl that spent like $200 on some of her postcards and I was like, don't do that.
No.
So, and they do stickers too with limited, like they're not super cute die cut all the time, but 250 stickers for $40. So if stickers are important to you as something to pass out at office hours or every ticket sold, you're getting a sticker for this night specifically. You can find ways for merch to be useful as far as guaranteeing you sell out.
Yeah.
But so in that sense, to me, that's important because if I buy 200 postcards and I spent no more than $50 on an entire run, it's doable. And I've always had postcards left over, even when I just do 100. I've always had a few left over. So that's when you stock up Starbucks, you stock up your local places, and it goes a long way. People put it on their fridge.
In regards to like marketing shticks and gimmicks, make sure like people are always wandering around having to carry. Don't give something that people feel compelled, they got to take it. And then it's like, I don't know, what am I going to do with this?
Yeah.
You know, maybe if it's a little button or a little
button's
sticker.
Great.
A pen, as always. Nobody is going to say no.
I agree.
All of them.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, when it's a little squeaky toy, it's a little bit harder. You know,
I saw something, someone was doing a show about grief and they had packages of tissue.
I loved it because I needed it because I was crying at shows constantly.
So be creative with that.
Yeah.
What I want to start at Dot Print is playing cards.
That's really cool. That's
hand out playing cards. Come to your show.
And they can play.
Only
pay to play.
They'll be like, that's what's up.
Yeah.
Your whole hour stuff's really cute.
I know.
That a lot.
I feel like, and discount alert, if you go to hollywoodfringe.org/participants, you will also see we have tons of like rehearsal spaces that are offering discounts.
Totally.
We have printers that offer discounts and definitely lots of local businesses. Keeping it local is always great.
Asking your local rec centers, YMCAs, outdoor theater spaces, if you're okay with it, like reaching out to churches. A lot of churches don't care if you don't have a religious focused show. They just want to share the space because ethically that's what they want to do. So the last show I just did, it was entirely done at a church that had a little space, like a little actual stage. And they were like, the lights are broken, so nobody uses this. And we're like, that's fine. So you will be surprised what you can also get for free or just like little donations here and there.
Yeah.
One more thing with marketing. The one thing we did drop cash on last year was a photo shoot with our cast. And it was the best money I ever spent because I'm crafty enough, again, with graphic design, or if you hire someone with graphic design, they can do so much when there's actual people that you can use for your marketing techniques on social media or whatever. And the one thing, which I'm really proud of, that I heard consistently during last year's run was, your show looks really cool. It's like, and our poster was nice, but our poster isn't us, like truly me. But they would see a picture of me in my big dress or of Matt doing something cool with a hat. And they were like, we don't know what this is, but it looks really cool. And I see it circulating on Instagram. And I truly think that's a big reason why our run did so well. So you don't have to drop money on a photo shoot, but we all have friends building their portfolio as long as like you're accrediting your artists, paying them something small if you feel so inclined. There's a lot of people that want to build, whether it's tech photos, which is, I also highly recommend, invite someone to come to your tech while like you're working lights and sound, just let them photograph your cast. And use that as marketing as well. And you can do those in very free or affordable ways.
And also remember, I use a lot of video because my shows are very physical, they're musical. So that's what grabs people. So taking videos during the course of rehearsal process, getting video shot very early in the run so you can make teaser trailers. Now, some shows don't lend themselves maybe to video, but if your show has any element physicality or musicality or something that's going to be attention grabbing, that, use video. Video is very effective.
Remember, if you get your show shot and it's just one long file and you didn't pay somebody to edit it, it will take time to edit it and you need to have that skill set. If you're doing a photo shoot, remember to use it.
Yes.
Utilize it. Don't plan to do these sorts of things. But for some people, having that documentation can be so helpful for you pitching and pitching. If you say, I put this work into my Fringe show, what theater is not going to be like, well, what work are they going to put into mine? Or you already have those assets for that next run, 100%. Right? So having assets after this festival, having something where you can have a package, some people have pitch decks for Fringe, not necessarily necessary at this moment for you to do a Fringe show, but a pitch deck is absolutely necessary for you to take your show to the next level, for you to tour your show. And so building those assets through Fringe and through this experience, if you don't already have them, is such a great way for you to be able to make sure your show has another life.
And finding ways to partner with other Fringers, I saw Laser for the, I think for the 2023 run, they had a solo show. And what they did was, we ended up not being able to do it, but they reached out to a bunch of Fringers. They were meeting at office hours being like, hey, do you want to jump on, I think it was Instagram Live, and let's chat for 30 minutes about your piece. And it was a way to get our names out there, but they're also building an audience because now we have a joint post on Instagram. Now we're sharing each other's followings, that sort of thing. And that's free. That's just your time, which I think you should happily give in those moments. And then last year we got interviewed by an out-of-town show that was also a period piece. That was a solo show. And we spent the whole time talking about our hoop skirts. And it was such a niche that made sense for both of our shows. And it really helped. And those are other moments where you can offer either comps or discount codes through those mediums. Because we did this chat, let everyone know that you can book with this specific thing. And then again, you can track to see what is actually pulling revenue.
Make those friendships and then utilize them. Everybody here has the same goal. And so work together. Yeah. It's smart.
Totally.
Before we get closed out on marketing, what makes a show stand out to you? This is a personal question. But when you're going through the Fringe site, you're excited for Fringe to start. What makes a show stand out to you?
Ooh, so not meeting someone in person, no. Online looking.
Just in a pure, I picked up a program. What is going to make it stand out to you?
A strong poster design or whatever your cover image is. I truly think if you aren't someone that has an eye for design, find someone who is. I think that if you aren't someone that's into that, definitely maybe be willing to put your money towards that. Because I've seen a lot of posters where I heard later, this person's show was crazy. And I was like, oh, cool. I looked over that one because maybe to me, it just wasn't grabby and it didn't make me think, or, it was hard to read, because sometimes people will throw on, and this is everyone's preference, a QR code with their dates really next to it and the lines don't line up or the fonts aren't making sense. And maybe that's shallow, but for me, it is kind of hard sometimes to feel connected to those pieces because it's a lot to take in, but sometimes a more minimalist approach will grab my eye a bit more. So I think just intentional design, and a witty name's cool, but that's obviously not required. But I think and if someone buys impressions, you can include I don't know how many words it is, but it's a very small log line that'll come up. Poster aside, if your poster is whatever, that's totally fine. But I am someone that will always read the log lines. Make it catchy, make it grabby, make it short and sweet, but also compelling. Yeah. That alone has grabbed me a bunch.
Yeah, understand you're going to have a 15, 20-second pitch for office hours. I mean, really hone it down and talk to a friend and give them the pitch and get their feedback. You can be fooled by a nice poster.
Yeah, that's true.
Sometimes see someone you're like, I think that's as good as the poster.
Sometimes they go so hard and you're like,
but you need to be able to understand and craft what that blurb is going to be.
Yeah.
If you have past history with Fringe, make sure, add everyone to your friend. There have been shows that do not add their cast to the Fringe site, which is very frustrating.
You need to, because then they get our emails.
Yeah.
Yes, it's really
helpful. They get to understand what Fringe is.
And you need to, I don't know, it's very easy now and cheap to have a web page. So if you can click through, I have a website, if you can click through from that Fringe page to a site that's just going to give more info, just more information about the show, the history of maybe the people. So I don't know if I see that someone has a history involved or,
But the thing is, if you click on their impression and then they include in their long description, I've been doing this for 3 years, or I've gotten this many awards at Fringe, or I'm a veteran. You said you've been doing it for a decade. That would stick out to me, being like, he's done this for a decade. He must really know what he's doing. So really being mindful of what you're putting once you get the person in as well to read is useful.
2 things with project pages. 1, they live forever.
They do.
As of right now, I have a podcast. They are live. So it's also great for like that website search history as you kind of develop your work. You're always going to have that landing page. So make sure it looks good. Have a good image. Copyright. You can't just take any image online and put it into your stuff. It is your liability. If you do get in trouble with copyright at Hollywood Fringe, your participant agreement, that liability is on you. We will try and help you navigate it, but it is really, really, really important that you do not break copyright law. It is really easy to get sued for copyright infringement, and it happens. Infringement. It's really important that you are not taking other artists' work, just like you don't want them to take your work. You don't take theirs.
Totally.
Canva is a great resource for people who are not used to graphic design and might not use Adobe. I will say that, there is this sort of thing called like Canva design. Like it can start to look a little corporate, or it can start to look a little bit mass produced if you're only using a template, not updating it at all. That being said, sometimes it's the best way for you to
No, it's amazing.
I just need something that looks pretty. That's great, because you're not going to break copyright. Utilize the tools that are within that. Make sure that you're using things in the public domain.
If you're someone that is intent on paying for a designer as well, some designers will charge you like per rendering or per draft, and that can add up really quickly. Go on Canva and create what's in your head, even if it's really rough, and be like, make this look good.
Yeah.
And then one rendering, one and done, maybe you're good.
Mocking up is a key.
I learned this. She's right. And it's amazing. Yeah.
You can also hand draw it. Often I will just draw, I want logo here, image in the middle, blah, blah, blah. Like my dates need to be, visible. Because I'm a very visual person, and for me, visuals are very important. But some people aren't, and some people might not know that. And so just make sure that you provide really clear instructions. And this time, we go to HollywoodFringe.org/participants. And there's some graphic designers that have been doing Fringe work for a really long time that are offering some really great discounts to be able to create bespoke art for you if that is important to you.
Yeah, I have to reiterate your project page. That really is your calling card. And I have seen over and over again people who have one sentence, or they list as the writer. Put all of your cast there, get an image, get a picture of the cast. Listen, someone's going to be like, oh my God, it was so cute. I'm going to go see the show. Get the pictures on the page, get their bios on the page, utilize that page. Once you start getting reviews, put the reviews on the page. I mean, really, it's there for you. It's free. You paid your, administration costs. Use that page.
The review element of Fringe is huge. And I didn't realize that my first year going in, but people go to your show and then they get an automatic email of, what did you think of the King and I Am Hall? Leave a review. And also you as a producer can personally email every single patron from the website. So I always send an intro email like, oh, the King and I Am Hall, here's everything you need to know. I go out of my way to figure out where's the best spots for parking, where's the hookup, where's this. You outline everything because it makes them feel taken care of. And then I send a personal email after thanking them for coming. Please leave a review here if you liked it, yada, yada. But then you get these reviews, you cherry pick what you really liked that you heard about your shows, and then throw that on social media. And anything to just generate content is really powerful in an age where I think people have kind of short spans, and also just 380 shows last year. It's really overwhelming, and it's probably going to be more. Yeah. And so you need to really get scrappy and find ways to stick out in such a huge pond in that way. So yeah, reviews are huge.
Before we go into questions, I want to center ourselves in defining realistic goals. Yeah. And what is it to have a production goal versus an artistic goal? What are some goals that you've had and set intentions with your Fringe shows? For instance, some people might be like, I just want to put up a show. And that is their entire goal, was that they have had this and that's their itch. Some people might have that, that artistic side of them just needs to be filled. Some people might have a production goal, which is that I want to have this producing feat of selling out a show for the first time, or I want to get a review from something that's not on the Fringe side. I want to get a reviewer in. How do you define those goals for you, and how do you choose them? Do you focus on all of them? Do you focus on a couple, or what?
That's why I'm stressed.
Yeah.
For me, I guess it's personally, maybe it skews both. I think it was the first year just to prove I could do it. I think I always knew I could, but there's something, you can think something, but just never put it into practice. So being thrust into this Fringe space, I think was really powerful. So just knowing that I could do it and, give my art back to the community that way was really huge. And then production wise, also knowing that because for example, I've never been repped and I'm 30. So it's like, that's a me problem, partially. Things like that. It's like, oh, how am I not repped yet? How am I still a nanny? How am I this? How am I not doing what I want to do full time for money yet? Which is what everyone I'm sure is thinking. And so it's like, I'm sick of that. I want to do it myself and carve my own path. How do I do that? Oh, I've heard there's this thing called Fringe, which I was following Fringe just like literally based on your guys' little like lamp posters. I was like, that's a game I'm going to look at next year. And then I'm going to go next year. And I never went. And then COVID happened and I thought it was never coming back. And then it came back. And it was like, okay, I have to do it now or not at all. And so for me, it was, okay, if I'm not going to if no one else is going to make my life work except for me. So I don't know if that's production or personal, but I think it was like, I have to professionally take charge of my career. And personally, this is how I'm going to prove it to myself.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that answers.
I know that. I think mine has been all about my artistry.
Yeah.
And, back in 2019, over the years, I'd always had I would create simple a cappella tunes. And I just said, I think I want to write a musical.
Yeah.
And so the first year it was 5 songs. The next show I did, it was 7 songs. Last year it was 9 songs. I've expanded the musicality of my pieces the second show had an ensemble. I always have live music, had an ensemble, of 3 musicians. But then last year, and that was very expensive.
Yeah.
Paying musicians.
Musicians are going to be the most.
So then last year I said, this show can survive on just a piano and me on percussion.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. And then at the same time, I had another idea for a show. I didn't want to wait for another Fringe. So I did this. I set a small experimental workshop. It ended up being a full show anyways.
But
that was an exploration. I wanted to keep exploring this live percussion and gesture work that I was doing. So that's what that piece was all about. So for me, it's all about artistry. And, I really want to go out into that big world and produce a show.
Yeah.
But it's so frightening because at Fringe, you have a built-in audience.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So that's the big leap, is going out into the real world and you don't have that built-in audience yet. So that's where we've had talks about, I feel like I've come to a level and I'm like, I think something is next.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for me, it's all about the artistry.
Yeah.
It's also an abridged cost with Fringe.
Yes.
This space is going to be way more cost effective for you in June than it will be any other time in the year. And I think that was also, I guess, production-wise, a big goal for me. It was, if I want to produce my own work for the first time, how do I do it and not go broke? Fringe seems like the first good place to do that, to see if it works at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Percussion, gravel dancing.
And dancing and gravel.
No, I love this. I think that it's really just so exciting to talk to you both. You're both so talented. I want to open it up to the room for questions. And that's why I have any coming on all over. And so if you are going to be asking a puppy here, start your marketing now. Say, hi, I am this person. My show is log line. And then ask the question. So you can be like, if you have a working title, if you have a one sentence about what you're doing, and start introducing yourself to the community now. It's nothing happening, but looks like he's into it.
I
Fundraising.
like what's happening.
Me?
Hi, my name's Dee. My show is My Tiger. It's about my experiences as a mixed race person growing up in rural Pennsylvania. And my question is, the poster on the profile, on the Fringe profile, do you recommend keeping that as clean as possible and putting dates on there? Or do you like cast information, or how clean would you like that?
I think if you do, it's fine. But if you have the means to have a version of your poster without it, I don't think you need it, because the tab right next to it says tickets, and then they'll see all the dates from there. I think ours did for Kingham. They both might have. I'd have to double check. It's just, it'll upload pretty either way. And you can also, if you have photos from your show or other relevant images, you can have more than one image on. But the cover one, I think you have dates on there as long as it is, lined nicely. I don't think it's a problem. I think most people put their posters up as is, but if, it's fully your choice. I don't think that's a problem.
Just make sure, because I know you have the thumbnail, as you're just scrolling to the side, you see a thumbnail.
That's going to be small.
Have that just be a very evocative image.
Yeah.
Don't try to put all of that information on there. When you click into your page, if you want to upload a poster, but all that information is going to be somewhere else. So you don't need all that.
It's as necessary.
It gets really so small because your image shows up on that homepage when you're
this big.
So while the Fringe is happening, all of our tickets we have the next 3 rows of shows at the time that they're about to come up, so that people can go to our homepage and be like, oh, that's what's next, and go and see it. So you're going to have that little tiny image, and it's going to be like 150 by 150 pixels.
Really small.
So you want to have that image be able to show up in 150 and 150 pixels, which is usually just the image, maybe the words.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Don't work it right.
Oh yeah, we'll keep going. We got time. Here.
Hi, I'm Shannon Corbet, she, her. I've got a question about titles. Here we go. First time out loud. Napoleon Bonaparte had a younger sister who was constantly creating problems for him and scandals and just having parties and orgies. And she shocked everyone when she posed nude for this renowned artist.
Yeah.
And my play takes place at the party where the statue is unveiled.
Mm.
And I'm wondering, how risque can I be in the title? Can I call it Napoleon's whore sister? Or, do I be like Venus Victorious?
Yes. And I would recommend having something that is more PG that you're going to put in the guide, just because we do have family friendly work. And so parents might be picking it up. But we have words that say kink in them, or they're descriptive. Just some people have done fuck, but they've put some little asterisks and stuff like that, just so that when it's in that family friendly program, the mom isn't well, now I'm not bringing any kids here ever again. But also at the same time,
my 5-year-old goddaughter loves the guy. She has seen subtitles.
I don't think you have to be worried about it at Fringe.
I think it excites a lot of people too. It's oh, this sounds crazy. This sounds, so it's being mindful of how, but I think it's a good idea.
Hi, my name is Miguel. I am producing historical gay comedy starring Lindsay Reagan. Right now, I had a question because last year when I went to Fringe, there was music playing as people were walking in, sort of like a pre-music stuff. And I just thought of this. Is that something that, do we have to watch out for players for music when it's a little lounge song? Maybe something happens in between the play that would require some, don't because you people with you, or you link all of your music and stuff. Is that something that needs to be budgeted, or is it how are the rules with music?
I'm gathered to say no one at Fringe has ever actually asked. I write for pre-show music to play just popular tunes.
I can talk about this.
Yeah.
So anything that you put into your play is not fair use, because you are using it within your play space, and so you cannot play music that is not licensed in your play. Pre-show music, it depends venue to venue. Many of our venues have their kind of protocols on how they do things. Some people won't do things, and some people will. That is a conversation to have with your venue about what their best practices is for that pre-show ambiance, and then working within those. Just remember that when it comes to copyright law, anything in your play, you need the rights to.
In the venue that I worked in the first year, there's a Brazilian element to that show. So they just played a playlist on Spotify that was specific to Brazil music. So I'm sure some of that music was definitely copywritten because it was on Spotify, but it was never anything used in the actual piece. And it was just like walking to your seats music, but they allowed that. But I agree with what Ellen said. Just check with your tech person to make sure it's not breaking any laws, if you will.
And you also, go ahead. Had one from a venue perspective.
Yeah.
I think sometimes, so let's be honest, you're probably not going to have the copyright holders at your show. For your 35 seconds of music that you might play for your pre-show, right? But if you are streaming your show, that's where you might get dipped.
That's a good point.
Because a lot of times we do stream on YouTube or Twitter or, whatever big stream platforms. Yeah. And then they'll like just automatically like take all the sound out or something like that. So if you're streaming, it's kind of a bigger thing you let the take through.
And I also think that it is just really important that you make creative choices. There are royalty-free music platforms everywhere, and they can come in all styles. And sometimes it's just better to just not do the illegal thing.
Yeah.
Can we go to the next question? I think in the back, and then because we have in the back first, and then we'll come back down to the front. Sorry, everything.
Thank you. Hi, my show, I'm Viva Rose. My show is called Hidden Gem. It's a stand-up comedy show about a time I locked myself in a bathroom at a party because I have social anxiety. It's at the Zephyr Theater now. Okay. My question is, you had talked, this might be more for Ellen, but like you guys had talked about like ad impressions on the website and how like if you do them right in the beginning of May when the ticket sales open, like they're going to go really fast. Mm-hmm. And I guess the question that would apply to you guys too is like, is there a window of time that you have found is like a really helpful spot for, putting those ads out into the ether? Like is right before ticket sales go live? Is that helpful? I think in our experience, we truly didn't do ad impressions until like festival has started. So I think too, keeping an eye on how your sales are going, and don't get nervous that sales aren't going as soon as tickets become live, because truly, for me, I see the most movement the day of my show, if not the night before. And it'll be like, wow, we've only sold 3 tickets out of 40. What are we going to do? And then that day, things kind of work itself out. So I would say as you enter previews, especially even if you do have a preview show, just start looking at your numbers. And then I would probably start dropping it. And then I personally wouldn't do it late April, early May, because I don't think there's enough movement personally on the website or there's too much movement because everyone, it's just, you want people to see them. So,
and then some artists have been like, well, my main audience is the artists. So they say that they want to do it. I would say that we're going to talk so much in detail about ads and marketing at our marketing and ticketing workshop. But if you want to get a head start, you should watch last year's or the year before or the year before. And you can find all of the dumb haircuts Lois and I have had, I had short hair. I had short hair once. Okay, next question. Oh yeah, I'll do the yeah. And then we'll go down this segment.
Hi, my name is Marissa Rutka. My show is called I'm an Artist Baby, Fuck Saturn. And it's about how to create a more healing relationship with myself with OCD, and especially after I lost my home in the Ealing fire. My question was about comp tickets. How does that work in terms of like, okay, I'm going to reserve 15 comp tickets and then maybe no one comes? Like, do you then just sell those tickets at the show? Is that?
Yeah. So often if you've like housed a couple of comp seats and say your show is sold out, you can always be like, my show is sold out, but I'm going to have a short little line and I can probably make you in. Well, people will message you, start being like, can I come? And you can be like, I have to hold these 2 seats, but if not, then you can just come. And then, so yes, you can sell them at the door. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Annie Grant. I'm hopefully doing a play by Emmy winner Ken Levine, who wrote for Tears of Madison Fraser, and the play is Love and Tear Gas, about a romantic political comedy, loosely based on Jane Fonda. Anyway, question is, so when you are thinking about like a 5-show run or something, is there a strategy to what nights or times your show you
get assigned your nights?
Venues. I mean, maybe Jen could talk about that. Venues work a little differently. They try to be fair, and what they'll do is if you do a 5-show run, they're going to give you an early evening, a late night, a midweek, a weekend. So it's fair to everybody.
Yeah.
And I've had someone who every year, oh, how do these dates look? And these are dates. I don't know. Wednesday is 6:30. I don't know what to do. And I said, I bet that's going to be your best show. And it was.
Not a
You
comic
can't,
night.
Fringe runs continually. So it's not, oh, I need 8:00 Friday night. That's the ticket. No. Monday at 5:30 might be your best show. It's hard to say, but venues will be fair when you get a package from them.
The one thing you don't want to do is make sure that you are like boxing yourself in. And so, maybe you're one of the last packages, and you're saying, wow, that's a lot of preview performances, not the ones that I wanted to do. So remember that there's so many venues in Fringe. If your dates from that venue don't work, you can always find that other space. But there's also not a good or bad time at Fringe, especially if you're tapping into the audience, and especially if you want awards judges and you want press. People go on a Tuesday night because I go to see shows every day during the festival, and every time. I see an 11 a.m. show, I see an 11 p.m. show. I see a 3 p.m. show, I see a 5 p.m. show. You know what I mean? People are stacking it. And so it's also about, if you're doing shows and you're spending your space, making sure that you're marketing with the other people around you kind of for those more unique times so that you guys are kind of selling those times as well as you're selling the others. But you're going to have a varied.
I can jump in. That's what, as a venue. But yeah, you're right. That, your venue is going to give you options and venues scheduled differently. So our venue, Stagecrafts, which is the Magnani and Family Arts, and probably some more growing up, we do packages of schedules, but they're all pre-done. So I have them right now. iPad, you could pick one. So and I just worked with a couple of people who one group is we are going to be out of town for a little weekend of June. Can you finagle it so that my schedule fits around that? Yeah, no problem. So just ask your venue, they'll figure it out. But we all try to make it really, really fair. And in terms of marketing, because I'm also a producer, I always found that marketing to each performance, because they're all have different dates and times, really helps, right? The thing I did with crowd come to maybe your 11 a.m. Sunday show where you might give out mimosas and donuts, then your 11 o'clock on a Friday night where you're going to get the bar crowd, right? So you get different people, you want to market those differently.
And then I can take about 3 more questions. And then guess what, you guys? We're going to be here afterwards. So if we don't get to your question live, please come and talk to us afterwards. And my friend here has been holding his hand up for quite a while. So if we can...
My name is Jan Davis Sutar. I'm putting on a show called O Constantine, which is a historical satire set in 325 AD, Emperor Constantine's court. It is partially a musical. I say that because it's only really got 2 songs. But my question really was towards crowdfunding and Seed and Spark, and how do you handle rewards? How do you, what tips do you have for Seed and Spark funders?
Okay.
And also, we haven't started ours yet, and I'm terrified that it's too late.
No, it's not too late. It's good that you're worried because you should start now. It's not too, man. I say that because we weren't too late and we did it anyway, and it worked out, but it was very stressful. Seed and Spark is my preferred because they have a system where once you set up your campaign, they refuse to let you go live until one of their professionals reviews it and tells you when they don't think it's strong. So I think that's a huge perk.
That's a huge perk.
And it's the first crowdfunding website that actually answers me with a real person. And you could actually have talks with these people and make sure that because it is an aesthetic thing, partially, they will tell you that they even told me they're this image doesn't look strong or something. And so you need to factor in time for that because they might take up to a week to get back to you.
Okay.
So if you're I'm going to go live on May 1st and you submit it on April 30th, it's not going to work. So definitely from here and Kickstarter and Indiegogo just don't have that. They're too big. I think Seed and Spark is still in an earlier phase of their career, if you will. So they're better for that reason. They're big on film and TV, but they have a theater element as well. You also don't have to make your full amount to get your money. You just have to this is where the film element comes in. You have to get greenlit. So that's 80% of your goal. And you'll get that 80% if you don't even make the 100. Whereas Kickstarter and Indiegogo, you won't make any of it. And I don't recommend GoFundMe because I just don't think it's the right environment for art. Personally, some people do it because you get the money right away, but I think people see a GoFundMe and they're nobody's gone. So not to be brash, but that's the reality of it. So I think Seed and Spark, just set up your plan. It's March, it's February, it's something. It's
February 15th.
Thank you.
I have a look.
Set up a plan between now and when you want to go live and get little benchmarks for yourself. And then the biggest thing that a friend of mine did that I haven't yet done, Seed and Spark, because again, we were last minute, set up a pre-pledge campaign or system where you create a Google form that you send to your community, friends, and family. And it's, can we count on you to donate on this date when we go live. Because on these websites, it's all about algorithm. If you can get 50% funded in the first 24 hours, you get featured on their homepages, and you're more likely to actually make your goal. So you can cheat the system a little bit by creating a grid on Excel and seeing who actually is going to try to be in your corner in those first 48 hours. So I have a lot to say about Seed Sparks. If you want to chat after, I could definitely.
I would love to. I definitely want to do that. And I really appreciate you guys taking the time here today, especially knowing that you like done a musical and I'm kind of going into that. I've got a lot of questions, but thank you so much.
Yeah, please. Oh, yeah. Harper, can we come over here just because we have the show below us with the sides, you know? We've been on this side a lot.
I'm good on time, so I can show after.
Hi, I'm Regina. My working title is Trans Mom versus Family Court. I'm going to do a short part of my transition when I fought for custody of my daughter, and it was 1995.
Wow.
And I won without a lawyer.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a long log line. But anyway, my question is first one is parking that important to the audience? Because I know some places have more parking than others, or it's easier. And then the other one is proximity to other venues. Does that help drive audience if you're closer to other venues? I mean, the Broadwater obviously has 4 venues. You walk out of one, there's a show just around the corner. So that's, and what do you call it? The McNamee is in a different area that's not necessarily people right around them.
Eastwood.
If people want to see a show, they're going to see a show. Mm-hmm. Parking is it important? Yes. I would, as you said, make sure you always send an email several hours before every show to every patron who's bought a ticket outlining, go south of Santa Monica. You can find parking there. Make it as easy as possible. A lot of people end up Ubering anyways, but parking is always important. Just be really clear where the parking options are.
It's about marketing more than just like giving it to somebody, right?
Yeah. And if you dummy proof it in the nicest way possible, most people, and I was victim to this too, I had never gone to Fringe. I'd never gone to a theater festival since like high school. So my thought was, I'm going to arrive. There's going to be a 15-minute chilling in the house. It's going to be great. Like they let you into the house when the show starts about 90 seconds after on average. So understanding that, and oftentimes no late seating is what you're going to run into. So I think really coddling your audience, even if they are Fringe people, and just reminding, assuming they don't know, really emphasizing how early to get there, I think you'll be fine. And I was at the Furies and it was fine.
And then our last question right here.
I could always say it for action.
Oh, great. Anybody else on this side? Because we're on this side. Yeah. Anybody had a last? Did you stop it? He asked a question. Great. Then we have it right here, Jan. Oh, wait. Sorry, Jan.
My name is Mary Bosmajian. My show is called Mom, Are You There? Becoming the Mom I Deserve. I did it in December right here in Zephyr. I have another one on the 23rd of March. My picture and flyer is just a picture of me when I was a kid. How do you guys feel about flyers when it's a little bit more personal? Like, does it sell? I think it's a cute baby picture.
I think they can be really strong. The show that I want to do for 26 Fringe, I think is going to be a real photo of me for the first time. And I think it's just a matter of still graphic designing around it in a way that's tasteful. So if you have any questions, we can chat. But I think that's big. Are you Armenian?
Yes.
Yay. Me too.
Some people do like you said, graphic design. Like I've seen people do like composition books around their high school photo because it's relating to high school. Or
the vibe.
Yeah. It still has that other like designy elements, and then that helps when you have your production photos. You can still have that little logo from your show with that little background that's got that colorful image. That way, it kind of relates to.
Totally
Cool. Thank you all for coming. You guys are awesome. This is online. If you need anything, we're here for you. Really quick news before I go. Is there anything from the chat?
We just got one question from Barry coming in being like, what's the best way to contact Angelique and John? You guys mentioned it.
If you guys want to reach out to me, I can when you're writing it down, great. If not, just come up to me after. But Sunny Gingham prod@gmail.com is SUNNYGINGHAM. That goes to me and back. If you want me personally, I could also share that email. It's just annoying and long. So just come to me. And then on Instagram @Sunny Gingham for the two of us. And then @the Angelique with 2 E's at the end for just my personal.
How's Gingham spell?
GINGHAM.
GIN.
GHAPROD @gmail.com.
Gingham, like the
red and white checkers.
Yeah.
Like if you watch Straight for the Take Off, the Gingham.
Yeah, you could always hit me up actually through the Fringe site or
right. There's an email system there. That's true.
kickboontheater.com has all my information also.
Thank you no, he's been like, I had a tour scheduled of the month. Say something that I think he wants to join us. But it's such a cute space.
So I'm going to take you if you're any questions about that space, I can help with that as well.
And then with those questions about graphic design, I might pitch myself for help. I want help. So yeah, let me know.
If anyone sees a phone line around on the end.